I cannot wait for this race. I'm nervous, I'm excited, and I am ready to give it everything I got. Because here's the thing, running a marathon isn't just about crossing a finish line. It's about proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you ever imagined. It's about pushing limits, silencing doubts, and embracing the grind. It's gonna be brutal, that's a given. And there will be moments when I'm questioning everything, whether that's during the race itself or during the training plan. That's exactly why I'm doing it, because the struggle, the discipline, the pain, that's where real growth happens. That's where you unlock a version of yourself that refuses to quit. So in June of 2025, I'll be running Welcome back to the Tickets Toward Success podcast. I'm your host, Tucker Nanikoven, and I want to thank you for tuning in to episode 9 of my podcast. Here on the Tickets Toward Success podcast, if you are new here, we talk about personal growth, health, fitness, finance, and the mindset needed to thrive in all areas of life. Thank you for tuning in to this episode today. I've been waiting to record and release this episode for a while. Today, we are discussing my marathon for 2025. My training plan, and the mindset that I have going into my 16-week prep. When this episode comes out, which will be on March 3rd, that will be my first day of the marathon training prep of my first marathon. What to expect in this episode is just details of the marathon that I have selected for my first one. Also, how I am training for my first ever marathon, my mindset going into marathon prep, and my personal thoughts on the race and the goals that I have set for myself. Just as a quick reminder, if you do enjoy this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit from these insights. My goal is to reach as many people as possible this year, so I would greatly appreciate that. All right, so let's jump into the first part of today's episode, and that is the marathon and my definition of the marathon, just as a race in general, not the specific one that I chose. From a first-time runner, these are a few words that I have processed and thought of. Intimidating, unknown, endurance, challenging, rewarding, demanding, discomfort, and adversity. These are just a few of the many words that can probably describe a marathon, and it's coming from someone that has never ran one. This is just what I think about when I think about a race like a marathon or anything above that, to be honest with you. I cannot wait for this race. I'm nervous, I'm excited, and I am ready to give it everything I got. Because here's the thing, running a marathon isn't just about crossing a finish line. It's about proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you ever imagined. It's about pushing limits, silencing doubts, and embracing the grind. It's going to be brutal. That's a given. And there will be moments when I'm questioning everything, whether that's during the race itself or during the training plan. But that's exactly why I'm doing it. Because the struggle, the discipline, the pain, that's where real growth happens. That's where you unlock a version of yourself that refuses to quit. So in June of 2025, I'll be running in the Grandma's Marathon in Duluth, Minnesota. Now, Grandma's Marathon, the race. Here's some race details and just kind of an overview of Grandma's Marathon. Grandma's Marathon takes place in Duluth, Minnesota on June 21st of 2025. It is currently sold out right now. It's sold out in a month. I believe the first day of registration or sign up was October 1st, and I sat in a queue for about 4 hours on October 1st to get into this race. That is how popular it is. But it is sold out. I think 10,000 people are allowed there. I'd have to double check that number, but I'm pretty sure it's 10,000 people. So that's what they sell out to. The race is 26.2 miles, obviously. It's from Two Harbors, Minnesota to downtown Duluth, Minnesota. The race runs along the shores of Lake Superior, which is very interesting. I think that'll be very cool. I also have some nerves about that just because of the wind coming off of the lake. And I've heard that even in June in Minnesota, that it can still be pretty cold that far up north. Like apparently this race is like a kickoff till summer or to summer. So like that's their start of summer is June 21st. And that kind of blows my mind. And I'm hoping it's not too cold because honestly, I signed up for a race in June because I didn't really want to run one in the super cold, but we'll see how that goes. Anyways, Grandma's hosts like a 3-day event. So Thursday is your packet pickup, and then there's also a health fitness expo that you can attend and just walk around and see the different vendors that are there. On Friday, it's the same as Thursday, and then they also have their famous all-you-can-eat spaghetti dinner where you can go and you can just purchase a ticket to have a buffet of spaghetti and really get your carbs in the night before the race. Saturday is the race day. My heat will kick off at 7:45 a.m. And then, like any typical race, they do have a music festival afterwards. I probably won't be staying for that. I'll be traveling back home after the race that day. The race course is considered flat and very fast, which makes it great for runners that are trying to qualify for the Boston Marathon. Grandma's is a qualifier for the Boston Marathon. So a lot of people will go to Grandma's to run super fast times so they can qualify for that race. And Grandma's is also known as one of the most beginner-friendly marathons that you can run in. That really flows into the second part of this episode. That was one of the reasons why I picked it. I honestly looked up the top 10 most beginner-friendly marathons just because there's so many out there and I didn't know. I didn't want to be one that's running through the mountains or something like in Colorado for my first one, to be honest with you. So that's why I looked that up. But Grandma's Marathon, why did I pick this specific race? I chose this marathon because I've heard a lot about it. I've heard that it's a super fun time. It's a great atmosphere and it's a super fun course right along the lake of Lake Superior. I think that's going to be really cool to just see. And like the Two Harbors town is like a super old school, almost kind of like fishing town. And I just think it's going to be really a great environment to run in. I have a few family members that have ran it, or family friends, excuse me, that I've ran it. And I have some family in Minnesota that we have conversed about it in the past, and they know a few people that have also ran it as well. And like I said, when I decided to do a marathon, I had looked up that top 10 most beginner friendlies, and Grandma's was number 10 on that list. And it was one of the closest to me. I'm from Iowa, so it's about 6 hours from where I am, which isn't too far of a drive. So I was like, well, then I can save a little bit of money. I don't have to fly anywhere. I don't have to worry about like the traveling sluggishness that you can get from flying. So I decided to go somewhere that was close. I also chose a specific marathon because it's in June. And like I said, I didn't want to run in the winter months. I wanted to run in warmer months. I simply hate running in the cold. I just do. I'll be the first to admit it. But I do it. I hate running on a treadmill more, so I prefer to actually run in the freezing cold over on a treadmill. And like I said, I waited in the queue to register and sign up for this race on October 1st, the day that it opened, for 4 hours. I just had my computer up and it was just spinning. It wasn't going to any page. It was just spinning on the registration page because you were like entered your information and then it would take you to where you can like enter your payment information and decide if you want like a shirt and everything. And it just spun for 4 hours straight. And that's crazy that a lot of people will sign up for this race on the very first day, and return runners will actually book their hotels like two or a year and a half out if that hotel allows it. It's like super hard to get housing for this race. There's not a lot of hotels in Two Harbors, which is where the marathon starts. There is a lot in Duluth, but almost every single hotel within a 60-mile radius of either Two Harbors or Duluth is sold out. You can't get a room. I called probably 50 hotels within a 60-mile radius because they give you like a sheet of lodging where you can call different hotels and they show you exactly how far it is from either the starting line or Duluth. And I couldn't find one. And all the Airbnbs, there's not that many because, like I said, Two Harbors is a super small, like old school fishing town. There's like bed and breakfasts there and like motels, like places like that. Duluth is a little bit bigger and it's not like Two Harbors as much, but everything there is sold out. And the Airbnbs in Duluth or along the shores of Lake Superior are super expensive. I think a lot of people use those Airbnbs for like fishing, vacations and things like that. But it was almost impossible to find something. Now, I did find an Airbnb for a decent price, but it's an hour and 15 minutes from the starting line. It's in a whole other town, which stinks, but it was for a good price. It's in a good area, and I'm just going to have to wake up super early on race day and drive down, which will suck because my legs will get pretty tight just sitting in the car for about an hour, and then I'll have to make sure I get there on time so I can warm up and stretch, but that's what you got to do. Another option that I could have did was, I think in the end of March or in April, they actually open up the dorms for some of the universities over in Duluth where you can stay there during the summer because no one is occupying those dorm rooms. And I've talked to a few people that have stayed there. They said it's really not that bad. I just didn't want to risk it because I don't know how all that works. So I did get the Airbnb, and then I may look into the dorm situation and see how much that is to stay in those because they have like buses right outside of the Airbnb or of the dorms where they just shuttle you to the starting line. Because that's another crazy thing about this marathon in particular is you can't be dropped off at the starting line. You have to go to a bus route and then the bus will bus you in from there. I think that's what I get from reading on their website about drop off instructions and stuff like that. I don't have it fully figured out yet. I probably won't, honestly, until after the race is even over. That's just kind of a weird thing and something that I got to figure out, and that's makes it a little bit more complicated and a little bit more nerve-wracking on race day when you have to figure those things out. You're not from the area, you don't really know what's going on. It's your first time doing a marathon, but we'll figure it out, and whatever happens, happens, and we'll make it to the starting line at some point. A really cool thing that was not a reason why I chose this marathon, but just happened to happen a few weeks later. So, as you guys know, if you've listened to my previous podcast, if you follow me on social media, I'm a huge Nick Bear fan. I'm a huge BPN fan. A lot of the athletes that work with BPN, I am fans of. I listen to Nick Bear's podcast a lot, and he had talked about, he said, I'm going for a marathon PR in 2025. And 2 weeks after I'd signed up, I look on his Instagram story, and it's a confirmation email from Grandma's Marathon. And he said that that's where he was going for a sub 2:30 marathon. And I'm getting chills right now. I freaked out. I was like, that's crazy. Like, I might have a chance to possibly meet him, get a picture with him, and just shake his hand and let him know that, like, thank you for everything that you do and the content that you put out and how inspiring that is. I was freaking out. I was like telling my girlfriend, I was like, oh my gosh, like Nick's going to be there. That's going to be awesome. And he's going for a really fast PR, which would be super cool if he did that there. I mean, obviously I'm not going to be running with him, but still it'd be cool to say I was at the race where he got that PR. Unfortunately, he got hit by a car running in December of last year, and he was okay for a while. And then about a couple weeks ago, he started having problems with his Achilles, and he got an MRI, and it's not his Achilles, but he has some messed up stuff in the leg that got hit by that car, and he will not be running in Grandma's Marathon this year. He won't be going for that sub 230 PR, which stinks. That really stinks. I figured after he had to stop running because it hurt so bad he couldn't even walk that he probably wouldn't be running in it. But maybe he will still be there. There's going to be some more BPN athletes there. Luke Hopkins, he'll be going for sub 3, which would be super cool to possibly meet those guys. I've been following Luke Hopkins for about 2.5 years now, but it would be really cool to try and meet those guys and just say hi to them, but we'll see. But that is cool. The whole BPN team will be there and they're all going for PRs. So that was just an added plus after I had signed up, and we'll see what happens. So let's get into my training plan and what my plan is for my first ever marathon. So training with an injury. I've touched on this a little bit in some of the past episodes. I suffered a back injury. I believe it's a herniated disc in my lower back, and it's pinching on a nerve. I have not had an MRI on it, so I'm not sure of an exact diagnosis, but I've had this before. I had this when I was younger in my lower back in the same spot, and I think I tweaked it a little bit. I tweaked it first in October of 2024 deadlifting, and then I rushed back into training and I injured it again in January of this year while I was squatting, and I was squatting super low weight. 150 pounds, I believe, is what I was squatting. And it was on the second set and on like the third rep. And I got to the bottom of that set, felt a super sharp pain in my lower back, and it shot down my left leg. Not a good feeling. And it was really sore for a while. It's feeling a lot better now because I started rehab about 2 weeks ago. And it's feeling a lot better just through stretching, mobility, and doing that rehab. So I am hopeful that everything will be fine. But my plan for marathon prep in terms of training with my injury is I'm not going to be doing any heavy squats or deadlifting. I'm just not going to risk re-aggravating that and putting a lot of tension and pressure on that lower back. I'm going to focus on rehabbing it through the entire prep, hip and lower back exercises, as well as building my muscles around my lower back, strengthening every single one of those muscles as much as I can throughout the prep, just to try and protect it while I'm running, to protect my lower back while I'm running. So my hamstrings, my quads, my upper back, my butt, my calves, and ankle mobility, and just etc. Basically everything throughout the leg, I need to make sure is strong and can support my lower back in case if anything goes wrong, either through the prep or while I'm running in the marathon. Because the last thing I want to happen is I'm running my marathon and I get to mile 20 and my lower back starts killing me. If anyone out there has ever had a herniated disc in their lower back, it hurts like a motherfucker. It hurts so bad. You can barely walk. You can't lift your leg up. You can't put your socks on. You can't bend over to do anything. It's terrible. So that's the last thing I want to happen. I know that there will be other places and other muscles that will hurt during that race, but I don't want my lower back to flare up during the marathon. The good thing is that my lower back has not hurt at all from running. Even when I re-aggravated it after I back squatted, I ran like 2 days later and it didn't hurt at all while I was running. It was a little bit sore after, but that was fine because I figured that it would be. But as long as it's not hurting while I'm running, that means that when I run, it's starting to heat up. There's no pressure on it and nothing is really aggravating it while I run. It's actually loosening it up, if anything. If I get into the prep and my lower back really starts to hurt and it starts to affect me and affect my training, I will shut it down. I'm not going to risk having a messed up lower back for the rest of my life where I can shut it down. I can bite the price tag, not run in grandma's, and rehab the crap out of my back and pick a different race. But as of right now, I am very hopeful. My lower back is feeling excellent as of right now. I definitely cannot squat or deadlift, and I won't be. But other than that, it's feeling great. So that is my plan for going through this prep and running this race with this lower back injury. Let's talk about my training plan specifics. So I'm going to be using the old BPN, Bare Performance Nutrition app. Nick has a new one that you have to subscribe to, but there's also an old one that's just the BPN app. And I'm going to be using that for the running portion of my training. I will be doing the 16-week training prep. And here is kind of a breakdown of how I'm doing that. Okay, so weeks 1 through 3. Monday will be an easy run plus recovery. Tuesday, speed workout plus full body lift, and that'll be legs focused. Wednesday will be active recovery. Thursday will be an easy run and recovery. Friday will be a full body lift and recovery. Saturday, long run and recovery. And Sunday will be yoga. And then we go into weeks 4 through 14, and we add an extra day of running in those weeks. So everything else is the same except Friday will be a recovery run. So recovery miles, and then still that full body lift. So the difference between an easy run and a recovery run, an easy run, it can be as slow as you want in an easy run, but we're making sure that our heart rate is under our aerobic base, and we're trying to build that up. So a good rule of thumb is to take 180 minus your age. That's your aerobic heart rate that you need to stay under when you're doing an easy run. So mine is 155. So on those easy run days, I need to stay under an average heart rate of 155 in order to build up my endurance, to build my aerobic base. That's what those easy runs are. A recovery run is still in that same aerobic base building zone, but it needs to be even slower because we're trying to recover. We're just trying to get some miles logged. We're just trying to get our bodies moving a little bit, but we're making sure that our bodies are still going to be ready for the next day, or that we're not pushing it to the max where our body is so sore and our legs are so tired from all the running that we're doing. Because I can't just do a really tough run on Friday and then go into my long run on Saturday, which I think the shortest long run in this prep is 8 miles. And I can't do that. I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to put that in as a recovery day, a recovery run. Okay, so week 15, which is going to be light on legs and back, especially during our lifts. We're not going to be going as high weight. We're not going to probably be training till failure. We're going to go a little bit easier on those because we're still running, but we're only 2 weeks out from race day. So Monday will be easy run and recovery. Tuesday is going to change. Well, that'll be easy run and full body lift. Wednesday, active recovery. And then Thursday is when I'll do my speed workout, which will be a lactate threshold workout. And we'll also have recovery on that day. So let's talk about lactate for a second. Lactate is a chemical compound that is produced in our body when our cells break down carbohydrates. They break them down for energy. It primarily occurs in muscle cells during intense and aggravating exercises. And lactate is the reason that we get sore after we do those exercises. So when you feel sore, you have lactate in your muscles. That is why if you do an easy run compared to a speed workout, in an easy run after and the days after, you will not have any lactate in your muscles because you're not going above that threshold. You're not going above that heart rate threshold. That's why it's so important to do easy runs, because you can do them more often and not be as sore and recover faster. That's why I do speed runs a lot less than I do easy runs. Because in those speed workouts, you are training in that lactate threshold zone and you're building lactate in your muscles, and that is what is making you sore for longer periods of time. So a lactate threshold workout is at a pace that hovers right on the breaking point of your body accumulating too much lactate in your muscles to continue. So you're running so fast at such a fast pace for your body that you are making so much lactate that it's almost impossible for you to keep running. And I'm sure that everyone listening to this has felt that at one point in time. You know that feeling when your legs just feel like jello. If you've ran a 5K, you definitely know, because you probably pushed pretty hard. And then towards the end of that 5K, you just cannot feel your legs. They feel like jello. That's lactate. So that'll be on Thursday. Speed workout, lactate threshold, pace. Friday will be recovery run, Saturday long run, Sunday yoga. And then we go into the last week, week 16, race week. Monday, easy run recovery. Tuesday, speed workout at marathon pace. And then we'll also have a full body lift, and that'll be legs focused. Again, we're dialing it down on legs and back, making sure that we're not going training till failure, and we're not going too high in weight. And then Wednesday, active recovery. Thursday, easy run. Friday will be a shakeout run. And then Saturday, race day. After race day on Sunday, hopefully we're doing some mobility, stretching, and we're refueling, because we're going to really need to refuel after the race and the days after. But that is my training plan. That's all I'm doing. We're up to 5 runs after weeks 1 through 3. We're at 5 runs a week. Not too bad. Majority of those are easy runs and recovery runs. So it's just logging miles, building that aerobic base, and trying to get faster. That is my training plan. Now, what are my goals? Let's talk about my goals for my first marathon. So I have 3 goals for Grandma's Marathon. The first one, and it's in all caps, finish without stopping. Finish the damn race. That is what I want to do. I just want to finish the race. That is the first goal that I have. Number 2, fuel properly. Super, super important, especially when it comes to running that far. I experienced a little bit of this in a half marathon. I fueled properly through the entire marathon, but after, I did not know that I needed to get calories almost immediately. I ate 1 banana right after, and then I waited probably a couple hours till my next meal, and I started to get the shakes. You need to fuel immediately. But that was a learning curve, right? I'll know that for this marathon. So let's talk about how I'm going to fuel properly days before, during the race, and after the race. So I'll probably start carb loading on Wednesday night or Thursday, trying to get as much glycogen in my muscles as I can. That way I can store extra energy in my muscles in order to have with me throughout the race. For race day fuel, 3 hours from the race will be my first meal, and it'll be carb heavy. 1 hour from the race will be a few easy digestible carbs like bananas or dates, but these carbs will be whole foods instead of like a gel or something like that. 20 minutes before the race will be my first Go Gel. That's what I'll be using. And then I'll have electrolytes with me through the entire race. I'll probably be carrying 3 or 4 water bottles with me during the race, and they'll all have electrolytes in them. I'm getting one of the Solomon vests to wear, and it'll have storage in the back, and then also 2 water bottle holders right here. And I have a handheld one that straps around your hand that I'll be wearing for the race. And then lastly, I'll be using gels and easy digestible carbs during the race. Mostly probably just gels. I use Go Gels from BPN. Pretty good ingredients, and then they taste really good, and they sit really well in my stomach, and they don't give me any issues. So that's what I'll probably be using. And I'll take one probably every 30 minutes or every 3 miles. So it'll probably be, I don't even know how many that would be, 6 or 7. I haven't counted it out yet, but I will before the race. So I know that I have one every single 30 minutes during the race. Okay, so the last goal that I have for Grandma's Marathon is to run sub 4 hours. That is a 9-minute per mile pace. Sub 4 hours is tough for first time marathon runners because we think that we can definitely do it. But then when we get to the race and we get farther into the mileage, it's going to hurt. I know it's going to. I haven't ran one obviously before, but I know it's going to hurt. I know there's going to come a point where it's like, holy shit, this really sucks. But I think I can go sub 4. I think if I put in a really, really good prep, I think if I work my ass off and I do everything right in terms of eat right, recover right, and train right, I think I can go sub 4. It might be like 3:59:59, but hey, I am okay with that. I will be perfectly fine for that. And just as to fill everyone in, I do have an ultimate goal to go sub 3 someday, but that will obviously be later on down the line when I run a few more marathons. Okay, let's talk about my first marathon and the mindset and the thoughts that I have on this. Like I said in the beginning of this podcast, I am nervous and I'm excited. 26.2 miles. Sometimes I feel like it's not that big of a deal because it seems like a lot of people run marathons throughout the year. But I actually Googled how many people run a marathon per year in the US, and it's around 1.1 million, which seems like a lot. But it is only 0.01% of our population. So having the ability and taking action to run one is a big deal. And when you think about 26.2 miles, it's really fucking far. If you look at the race course for the Boston Marathon, it's crazy. Like I just saw like a video that took you through the Boston Marathon and how far it went and like the exact route. And I was like, this thing just keeps going. It doesn't end. 26.2 miles is a lot farther than you think. But like I said, I'm excited and I'm really excited for the prep, really excited for the training because the journey and all the hard work it'll take to do this will really be the thing that I will look back and cherish the most, probably. I'll learn a lot about myself through it. I will enjoy it. I'll struggle through it. I'll have success through it. And it'll just be really good for my mindset. It'll be really good for my body. And I'm just excited for the journey to do this. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. And I'm also excited to grow through this process and see where it takes me. A lot can happen in 16 weeks. And I'm just super, super excited. It's going to be fun and it's going to suck. But that's good. That's how we grow. So what are my feelings and emotions about the race? To be honest, I don't really have any. I mean, the best I can do and tell you is that I'm nervous and excited, but I just don't have any like feelings towards it. Like I know it's going to be tough, but I know that it'll be worth it. And I know that I'll enjoy every single moment of it, whether that be during the race or during the prep. But the one thing that I do know is that when I cross that finish line on June 21st of 2025 at Grandma's Marathon, it's going to be rewarding as hell. That's going to be special. Especially if I hit all my goals. If I finish without stopping, if I feel properly, and I run sub 4. But even if I don't hit all those goals, and I'm mostly talking about running sub 4, it's still going to be rewarding. And I'm really excited for how it's going to build my self-belief and my confidence. Because you got to understand like what it takes to go through an entire prep And then the race is the easiest part. We've talked about this before. We talked about this in the very first podcast episode that I released. Starting is harder than finishing. Starting the prep. I mean, I just finished building out entire prep. Yes, I'm basing my running off the BPN app, but I had to build out all my workouts for lifting. I had to make sure everything was structured properly. I had to make sure that I'm hitting all my muscle groups and doing all of that. I have to make sure that I am getting the right amount of protein, carbs, and fats in my nutrition each week during this prep. There's a lot that goes into it. And you don't have to make it like that, but that's just how I am. That's how I want to be. If I'm going to fucking do something, I'm going to fucking do it right. You can bet your ass on that. And excuse my language there for a little bit, but that's just how I think. If I'm going to sign up for this race to go pay $150 to go put my body through hell, yeah, I'm going to do it right. I'm not just going to lollygag around, throw together some like worthless prep program. No, I'm going to set goals around it and I'm going to go all out. So that's how I think. And I'm super excited to see how that can build belief and confidence in myself to go out there and try other things and see what I can accomplish. So super, super excited. All right, this was a short episode, but I got everything across and there's not really much to talk about. I'm running a marathon June 21st of 2025. And what are some final thoughts for today? Number one, just so everyone knows, I will be making an episode after the marathon, just discussing my experience and what I took from the race, what I learned, and how it changed me. Secondly, I want everyone to take from today's episode to grow out of your comfort zone. I have never been a runner. I did run track for 1 year in high school. I was good at it. I've always been fast, but I've never been a runner. I've never enjoyed running. When they said when we had to run at practice, it would piss me off. But look at me now. I'm about to run 26.2 miles in a few months. But grow out of your comfort zone a little bit. And it doesn't have to be with running. It can literally be with anything. Just go out there and do something that challenges you. Do something that you're not used to. Go into the unknown and figure it out as you go. Because you're going to learn a lot, you're going to grow a lot, and why not? Get some new experiences. Stop having the same experiences over and over and over and over and over again. Do something new. Do something productive. Do something healthy. Do something that you enjoy. Do something that you like. So grow out of your comfort zone. Number 3. This doesn't relate to the podcast episode, but I felt like it was a really good thing to tie into this episode. I had the opportunity for work last week to volunteer at our local Ronald McDonald House. And I got a lot of perspective while I was there. We went there to make a meal. So they serve a meal for the families each night that are staying there. And so we got to make the meal and we got to tour the house and kind of learn about everything that they do there and how they support the families of these patients that are going through severe illnesses or they're just going through severe complications with their health. And like I said, it put a lot into perspective of what you have in your life. And I know I talk about this a lot and just why you shouldn't waste what you have. I saw some kids in there that were so happy. They were so happy. And they were probably battling some of the hardest days of their lives. And sometimes, unfortunately, those kids don't even make it out of that house. So while you're sitting around and you're perfectly healthy and you're not taking advantage of the gifts and the opportunities that you have in front of you, I want you to think about those kids. Think about the people that wish that they could be in your situation. Yes, we all have hard days, but there's always someone out there that has it worse. When I walked through that house and I saw those kids and I talked to some of those kids and those families, I became extremely grateful. And every single worry, every single bad thought, every single stress that I had in my mind completely vanished. Because I realized that everything that I need, my health, my family, my legs, my ability to run, my ability to lift, my ability to learn, my ability to do all these things. I'm not hospitalized. I realized that that's what matters. And I'm so glad that I got that opportunity to be with those kids and those families and make them a meal and do that work for them, because they are battling something that a lot of us will never have to. We will never have to go through that. So that is why you need to go out and do hard shit. Because what we think is hard is a piece of cake to some of those people out there that are going through that. Me running 26.2 miles is easy compared to sitting in a hospital bed and getting chemo treatment every single day and slowly dying. That's easy to run that far. So remember that. And I don't mean to get like this on the podcast. It's just I want everyone to understand that you've been given a gift, a great gift, and you've been given opportunities. And I'll say it time and time and again. Don't waste it. That is it for today's episode of the Tickets Toward Success podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. And obviously, if this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment down below. Comment down below what you think that I'll run at Grandma's Marathon in June of 2025. And let me know your thoughts on this episode. Did you like it? Did you enjoy hearing about my training plan, my thoughts on the race, and what race that I decided to run? There will be plenty more in the future. So let me know down below if you like these episodes so I can make more of them when that time comes. Share this with someone that may enjoy this as well, that may want to know what Tucker Nanakoven is running in June of 2025. Be sure to follow me on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, personal pages, Tickets Toward Success pages. They're all on there. Just look me up and shoot me a follow. I post bonus content on there as well as clips from the podcast. Don't forget that I post new episodes every single Monday. And next Monday, we're going to talk about core values and why they're important and how they can help shape your future and why every single person should have core values. So turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode, or just download my podcast. You'll get continuous updates. So you might as well just download it if you enjoy listening. Remember, every step forward grants you another ticket towards achieving your goals. And the more that you collect, the more you will learn and grow. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next episode.